What is up, everyone? I'm Dimitri Loiseau.
And I'm Valerie Noble. We are the proud creators of The Regard Breakdown, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes with Hollywood's top talent as we discuss the roadmap for success in the entertainment industry.
Each week, we bring you new episodes featuring the actors and industry insiders who work behind the scenes. These are the ones who create the persona, the look, and the brand from all your favorite TV shows and films. We are so happy that you tuned in because their stories are authentic, informative, and inspiring. Before we get started, let's ask our girl Sydney on the gram, for this week's topic of the day. What's up, Sid?
Hello, my friends. How are we doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine. It's nice to see you all, or to hear you all. You know, this is an audio medium. But so this week, as you know, I take to Instagram, I take to Twitter, I take to all of the social media platforms, and I ask our listeners, what is it that they like to, or they would like to hear us go over each week? So this week, it was kind of interesting. The two main questions that I kept hearing was, number one, what is good etiquette on set, whether you are an extra, a featured guest, or you're starring in a film or a TV show? And then the second topic was, how should you act when and if you get to work with your hero? So I thought it'd be interesting because, you know, if Meryl Streep comes walking through my door, I'm gonna freak out. So to address these two topics today, you guys know that I love that you are gonna discuss it with our guest today. But I also really like giving our listeners your 2 cents through the game On the Clock. So just a quick little brief, history explanation for our new listeners. On the clock, I'm going to ask you one question from the topics of the day. I'm going to have each of you respond whatever is on your mind, whatever you want to say. You have 60 seconds, but on that 60-second mark, I got to cut you off and we're going to go to our next co-host, okay?
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Miss Val, let's have you go first. What is good etiquette on set? I'm going to have you on the clock in 3, 2, and 1.
So set etiquette is really being able to follow the rules. The big thing for set etiquette nowadays is phone etiquette. So you have to be careful. Just about any set you're on nowadays, you cannot take pictures. So a lot of times it's fun to watch the people behind the scenes, they call them not extras, the background actors. And when they see their favorite star come up, they're scrambling, try to sneak and take a picture. But one of the main things for set etiquette is to make sure just to follow the rules from all the production, the PAs, the production assistants, all your directors, and you have to act cool, read the room, act cool, don't act like, you're a raving fan, and follow instructions.
Oh, she got that below the 60-second mark.
Showing off.
I did it this week, yay.
The pressure
of course, it probably didn't make any sense. I was rambling, so.
Okay. No, ma'am, it made so much sense. That. I'll know how to act the next time I'm on set because of you. It's because of you. All right, Dimitri.
All right, D, you're up. You're up, D.
I'm going to switch it up, though. I'm going to ask you the other question.
Okay.
Okay. So, quick reminder, how should you act when and if you get to work with your hero on set? You are on the clock in 3, 2, and 1.
That's a tough one, definitely, like Val says, I think obviously you have to follow, the directions you're being given on set. I think you have to be aware of your surroundings. There's all kinds of equipment, you don't want to like see your favorite person and like trip over, some equipment, whether it's like tripods or lighting equipment or whatever the case is. I think you really got to play it cool, and I think that you also have to just try to understand like the human element. Don't forget that they are there to work, okay? And in between, the cuts, they're memorizing their lines, they're making sure that they stay in character, like all of those different things. And yes, like it's nice when you meet someone, but you got to be able to like read the room. And I think it's important that you like make some eye contact, smile maybe for like half the day, you know what I mean? And then at some point, you know, maybe go and introduce yourself if it's appropriate. Definitely don't try to take a picture of somebody, you know, while they're eating, because that would be just tragic.
Time.
Oh,
hey,
you did it.
You got
wow, look at that.
Good job.
Look
that
at
was
that.
really impressive. Now I know how to, you know, I won't freak out, and I will try not to trip. That's really, though, on brand for me, is tripping in general. But if Meryl Streep comes walking by, then it might be guaranteed. So I'm sorry.
Well, Sydney, thank you so much for that. I think that was kind of cool. But I also think that our guest that we're going to have on today will probably answer that question a lot better than we can. Before I introduce our guest, I want to give you a little background information on him. As a popular television and film actor, you've seen him in movies like Yes, Field of Lost Shoes, The To-Do List, Gould, Friends with Benefits, and Space Buddies. A number of TV shows, including Good Luck Charlie, R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour, and Sophia the First. In recent years, he was featured in the music videos 1-800-273-8255 by Logic and Help Me Now by Kevin McHale. But perhaps he is most well known for his hilarious and longest running role as Luke Dunphy on ABC's Modern Family. We are so excited to have him here, and we cannot wait to get into it. So please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Nolan Gould.
Yay, Nolan.
Yay, Nolan.
Yay.
Hey guys.
How you doing, Nolan?
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. How's everything on your end?
Everything is good. I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little bit worried as you were going through all of my credits that you weren't going to get to Modern Family. You like saved that right to the very end. You're like, you might know him from Space Buddies and Good Luck Charlie. I was like, please mention the one thing people know me from. Don't hold that out.
No, I mean, well, listen, you know, Modern Family, it was extremely successful. You guys just celebrated your very last episode, which was the finale of the series. Yeah. Congratulations on that. I mean, what are your, like, some of your fondest memories of being on that show?
And so many. I mean, like you said, we just wrapped up. Actually, our finale was a week ago, so this is our 1 week anniversary of the show. No longer existing. And I have, I mean, to try to sum up like even a few good memories that I've had on that set would be so crazy, because 11 years is such a shocking amount of time. Like, for someone who hasn't experienced something like that, I don't really know how to put it into perspective. It's like your entire years of schooling summed up. It's almost like graduation. Like, graduating from work and your social life and your adolescence and your school and like everything wrapped up all into one. I mean, this really was my life. So, I mean, there's, you know, I had all of my major moments, all of my best and worst moments on that show, just because of the scope of that time. So, really hard to just pick a few.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you have a double family, because, you know, everybody, the crew, the grips, the caterers, everybody has to be part of your family. You're there that long, you know everybody.
Yeah. My TV sister Ariel baked me a lasagna last night.
Oh.
Because she knows that I'm a terrible cook, and I don't, like, if I don't have groceries in my house, I don't eat. Like I went like 2 days without eating just because I'm a like lazy kind of teenager when it comes to eating. And so she baked me lasagna and safely left it on my doorstep, social distancing style, so I can eat. So yeah, I really do have a second family who literally provides for me.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, listen, what we really kind of wanted to know, you know, obviously you've had like all these successes. You've capped it off, you know, thus far, because obviously you're not done working, but thus far you've capped it off with, you know, the hugely successful series Modern Family. You started acting at a really young age. Was it just something that kind of like just, you know, like came to you? Were you encouraged by maybe another family member, maybe just watching television? Like, how did you actually get your start and know from that standpoint, like that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I got started. I'm not from Los Angeles originally. I don't think anybody really is. I grew up in Phoenix City, Alabama, which is a tiny town in like middle of nowhere. My dad was stationed out there. He was part of the army, and then my brother was really advanced for his age. He was like 6 years old, like reading like full, like he could read Harry Potter by himself, like read like front to cover to cover. And so he was looking for something, like my mom was looking for something to keep him entertained. And they found out, my parents found out of this community theater that was going on in our neighborhood. And so she went and signed him up. And because I had to go with Big Brother, I just started going with him. And my first role ever was Watch in A Boxcar's Children. So he's the dog in Boxcar Children. I didn't even get the role all to myself. I had to split it with another kid. Like 30 minutes into the show, we would like switch to the dog costume. So humble beginnings for me, definitely. And then I think like one day it really did just kind of fall into our laps where somebody spotted us and was like, hey, have you guys ever like considered giving like acting a real shot or like modeling? Like you guys have the look. I'm like, I represent kids in Phoenix City, Alabama, not a huge market there, but ended up signing them on as my agent and then moving out to Los Angeles when my dad got transferred here, and then kind of the rest is history.
That was good. That was good timing on your dad's part. You know,
yeah, I know.
As it turns out for his job, that's amazing. The years of experience you've had, you know, auditioning. I looked at because I don't like scary movies, so I looked at the trailer for Gould. How in the world did you do that scary movie as a little kid?
Yeah, I don't know. I was having
a was blast. So spooky.
Yeah, I know it really was, but there's like I was having a blast. Like I got to like, you know, I was like the kid who like picked up like the prop like dead body parts and was like, hey, check it out. Everyone's like, dude, put it down. Oh my gosh. And you know, well the funny thing is like the guy who played like the monster in that movie would like, you know, he would do a scene, he'd be scary, and then he'd like take off his mask and like go to craft services and you'd strike up a conversation with him while he's in like monster outfit about like what his evening was like. So I, you know, it kind of it ruined scary movies for me a little bit. I saw through the veil.
Well, that's good. That's good because you've done a few, so that made it easier for you to definitely do them.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. So listen, so you've been, you know, obviously Modern Family was like your longest running, you know, job that you've had. You know, and on the surface, I think that, you know, fans or viewers or people just in general think like, oh man, this guy's on a, you know, really successful show. He's got it made. You know, what have been some of the pros and cons, you know, being on a show for that long with respect to, you know, opportunities, you know, that you were able to take advantage of and were not able to take advantage of. Like, how does that kind of shape your mind as an actor, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I can think of so many examples. It really revolutionizes like your life. I'm a completely different person. Like my whole like life course is altered. And you know, like there's the obvious ones, which is like, you know, it's when I go out in public, I have to be aware that you know, there's kind of always an eye on me. I have to, you know, be on my best behavior, or even not that, I have to like look kind of good when I go out in public because you never know when someone's going to take a photo. You know, got to be careful on like social media, things like that. But then there's also like less obvious ways that like my life has changed. Like for example, I was not able to go to school because of my work. I've never set foot in a classroom. I was supposed to go to college. I got accepted to USC Cinematic Arts and didn't get to go because the show got picked up for 3 years, which was awesome. But now at this point, I'm like, I was 18, wanted to go to college. Now I'm like 21. I'm like, why do I want to go to college?
Right.
So, you know, it really changes. Like when you make an investment into a show like Modern Family for 11 years, it affects every bit of your life, from your social life, not having enough time to spend with your friends is like, someone else your age might. But here's the thing is like, those are all the bad aspects of it. What like people I think don't focus on enough is like the amazing aspects of it, which is I'm getting to live a life that's my dream, that like a lot of people want to live, and very few get the opportunity for that. So like all of the things when you hear like actors, crying on the internet about how hard our jobs is, we also get like these amazing benefits, and we get to like live this awesome life. Sometimes there are caveats to that, but all in all, I would not take back the 11 years I spent on the show. It was totally worth it.
Yeah. And how do you like, so now that you've been on this show for 11 years, I think I'm sure you've walked down the street where people are like, Luke, you know what I mean? Where they don't kind of delineate between your character and who you are. And
Absolutely.
So now how do you transform yourself as an actor? What's your next move? How do you kind of like, obviously there's some great benefits, to have that kind of success. And like you said, a lot of the things that you've been able to enjoy, but now how do you grow from that role into something else as an actor?
Well, I don't know. You guys are the style people. Can you help me out on that?
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm doing a lot of home workouts, trying to transition from like Luke Dunphy to like, ooh, Luke Dunphy.
Right?
There's that. Hopefully trying to get projects that are very different than what people see me doing.
Mm-hmm.
I started off at 5 years old as a dramatic actor. And like Modern Family was my first comedy. I did drama for 6 years. I would love to return to something like that, show people that like I could do really dark, weird, different roles, and kind of shock people a little bit. And then I've been doing a lot of writing. So that's one way I'm trying to reinvent myself, is I want to take a more active stance in my career. And, a lot of actors get comfortable, especially when they've been on a show so long, like just waiting around for things to come to you instead of going and getting them.
Yeah, or creating exactly what it is that you want,
Yeah.
Yeah, and tailor something, like you said, you want to do more drama, so tailor a drama piece for yourself,
Yeah. I think, all actors, because we have so much free time, you should be finding like new ways to invent yourself, new skills, new hobbies. Like every day, try to learn something new or do something you've never done, so that you can, have more of a foundation to go off of on your acting.
Just the process of learning lines and memorizing, because, I think a lot of people don't really understand that everything that you say, on your show is written down ahead of time. Every move, for the most part. So how do you go about memorizing lines? It just fascinating. My memory is terrible, and I would love to have that skill to remember pages of dialogue.
Yeah, you know what it is? And like, I wish there was more of an awesome answer that I could to give people on it, but it's just practice.
Oh,
it really is. I wish there was more of a secret to that, but at a certain point you can train your brain to kind of hold on to like the information you need to hold on to. Like for example, I have no memories of my childhood, but I could like tell you every episode of Modern Family. I've compartmentalized my brain, so like I have all the things I actively need, and deleted all the other information. I find little. So I have a couple methods I do. I can explain like real quick. I want to say Michael Caine, the actor, like explained this, which is just to like, you have a huge chunk of dialogue, run it like as fast as you can with no breaks and no intention. Like just like, like dabba 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 dabba, and like if you have lines that are like 3 lines apart, like when somebody else is talking, you combine them. So you make all of your thoughts in the scene one thought, and make it completely boring, no intention, just the words. So that when you actually have all of those memorized that way, then you can start slowly through the same process, start adding an intention on like one word, or adding intention on like one line. And you can find some cool ways of saying things that way.
That is, I've never heard of that tip, and I
Yeah.
think that's phenomenal.
I'll be honest. I never use that on Modern Family. I sometimes use it on auditions, but Modern Family got to this point where I was so comfortable with the character,
Yeah.
and like I knew the way he spoke. I knew like when I like was standing on like my mark in front of the cameras, that all felt very natural, and I was never worried about lines because I'd been doing it so long, it kind of came natural.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back to something you said earlier.
Yeah.
We're talking about, kind of pulling out a few different things about you to kind of, as you're going through this growth process. What's the most uncomfortable you've been as an actor? Like being on set, whether it was Modern Family or any other project that you were on, what made you the most uncomfortable on set?
Oh, that's a cool question. A Modern Family, I never felt like uncomfortable. Luke was, it's sitcom. It's all pretty comfortable. You don't have to go and tap into any dark places or anything. I did this movie called Yes, and it was super dark and different than the Modern Family. And I was working with an acting coach at the time, and like my character was supposed to have like this breakdown, and like I'm a very closed off person. I'm like I don't think I've actually, like, this is terrible to admit, like I don't think I've like cried actually in like years. And so she was like, you need to like get to this place, like you need to get to this place, and like having to go to this place like that I've like closed off to like get these emotions to come out, which was like really crazy. It makes you realize like how the human brain works, where it's like, oh, I can't even like drop the veil to like pretend to be this sad person because my natural reaction to like sadness is aversion. No, she's like, you need to like get in there and like find out like who you are and like be okay with like all your problems to like be able to be a character who's not. And that made me like wildly uncomfortable. Thankfully, I was able to get there eventually, but walls went back up immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that something where you have to tap into like some negative aspects of your life, that maybe things that you probably have not necessarily dealt with because, by and large, you're kind of dealing with other characters, right? You're always playing someone else, not necessarily playing yourself, right? So is that the bucket that you go into and grab that negative emotion to now infuse into a character that you have to play?
Not really. I'm not. There are actors, and I'd say like a vast majority of actors who do that. Like it's kind of common like adage that like if you need to like cry on like command, like I don't know, think about your dog dying or something, very tragic like that, to like get people to like come to get that emotion to come out. But because of like my blockades against it, like I'm like not gonna cry. I'm thinking about my dog dying. I'm like I'm not gonna cry in front of these people. I'm like I can't do it. I'm a man.
It doesn't work.
Right?
It doesn't work.
Machismo. I really focus on the feeling of the character because I don't have that much of my own emotion to like back up how they're feeling. I'm like, it really helps. Like, I can't cry on command if I'm just like, my character's just whisper. I can cry like if there is dialogue, if something like actually like heartbreaking like happens, when like I know this is an emotional scene, like that's when I'll get caught up. Like I cried during Marley and Me. Like that made me sad. Like I could like empathize with other people's emotions and what's happening in the scene. I just like pulling from my own life is hard. Yeah. So I really try to like empathize with the character and like what they're going through, and like hearing myself like talk and like hearing my own voice start to like crack when I'm getting emotional makes me further emotional. It's like one of those like, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna, oh god, oh here it comes. It's like one of those.
That's a good trick.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of crying on command, who are some of the actors perhaps that you admire? Maybe give us a little list of people that you admire, or you like their career, or
Yeah. Great question. Who do I admire? Well, this one might actually come as a shock, but Keanu Reeves
Yes.
I like
is
him.
he's my all-time hero. Before you guys were talking about how to act in front of your hero, I'd be a complete idiot in front of Keanu. I mean, I think he's America's national treasure. I'm not even joking. I think he's like, if you know his life story, he's an incredible human being. He's very kind, never let like fame get to him. And there's like all kinds of stories. And I love him because he's an action star because of John Wick, The Matrix. But I remember hearing a story that like when The Matrix all wrapped up, he bought every member of the stunt team a Harley Davidson.
Oh.
So they could, because he's a big motorcycle guy, so they could all go ride motorcycles together. And I was like, that is like the level of class and respect for crew members and everyone that like, I hope if I was ever given the chance to get to that level, that I would do something similar. I'd do the same.
It's funny that you say that because I have a very good friend and she's
Yeah.
kind of famous and she has an amazing Keanu story. I believe it's
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves. An amazing Keanu story about when her car broke down. So you're right. And this is way back when he was famous, but she kind of wasn't there yet. But she has an amazing story about how helpful he was when her car broke down. So you're right.
Not to be I don't want to be morbid here, but like if I were to like ever pass on, like that is the kind of legacy like I would want to leave.
Yeah.
Not be like, oh, look at all these projects he has done. Look at the awards, like the amount of followers, whatever. I would like people to be able to tell like real stories, like the time they met Nolan Gould and he helped them fix his car. Like, we saw him at a bar and we had a drink with him and he was a cool guy. That's what I'm looking to build.
Yeah. It's definitely a legacy. You don't achieve a legacy without overcoming challenges, right?
Yeah.
And throughout your career, you've had I'm sure there's some pros and cons to everything, right? What are like some of the biggest challenges that you can expect as an actor? And just for people who are trying to get into this, maybe people that really haven't, had a hit yet, they've been on a few things, auditions aren't necessarily going well. What are some of the biggest challenges that are sure to come in this business of acting?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, for me, I've had a few. Growing up on television wasn't always easy. Having my awkward years broadcasted to millions of people. But I mean, I feel like that is a very specific situation that not everyone has to experience. I'd say more in general for actors, people trying to become actors. Rejection is a pretty common one. I almost quit acting before Modern Family took off.
Really?
Yeah, I moved out here when I was 5 years old. By when I was about 11, before I'd auditioned for Modern Family, hadn't really done anything big. And like my last real, kind of good project had been like 2 years. And so I was like, it's time to call it quits. So at 11 years old, I was like, all right, I gave it a good shot. And, thankfully I didn't. Obviously that can be like a tricky subject, like slippery slope, because you don't, yes, it is your dream. You don't necessarily want to hang on forever. Like I would never keep acting if it's been 10 years since like my last project. I would just go, find something else that interests me in the world, probably still in the entertainment industry. But I think there's a lot of rejection. I think there's a lot of waiting around is the big thing. Like we all have aspirations. We all have, things we want to get off the ground. And it just really believe in yourself, or at least the dream of what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And are there things that you feel like as an actor that whether you're working or not, that there are things that you have to continually do, in the meantime? Like, what would you recommend for other actors?
Oh, yeah. I would, what would I recommend for other actors? Practice, obviously, always. I would recommend being involved in some kind of class. It doesn't necessarily have to be acting class. Maybe you get a group of your friends together and you just read scenes or projects. That's something I recommend. Actually, something that I really want to do now that the show is over is once quarantine ends, is get together a group of actors and act out movies, just for practice. Like watch all of the good films, try to figure out what people are doing. I highly recommend doing. I take these things called master classes, which are it's like this online video program where like different professionals will walk you through their craft. I highly recommend that as a supplement to everything else. I think I want to say Helen Mirren teaches you how to act. I could be wrong about that.
I think you're right. I think I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's quite a few great people.
Yeah, they have a couple of actors on there.
Yeah, some directors. And, it's a nice variety.
Yeah, and then just try to write because you got so much time, and there's never been a better time to be a writer. There have been better times to be an actor. It's not the best time to be an actor right now because there's so much going on with streaming and happens to like residuals and how much do actors get paid for streaming. It's kind of a weird time to be an actor, but it's an amazing time to be a writer because there's so much content getting bought. So
that's a good point. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
So now that you've kind of reached the measure of success, as you will, in the business, are there things that maybe outside of acting that maybe you invest in? You know what I mean? Not on the nitty gritty stuff, but like, what do you spend your money on?
Yeah. I mean, that's the question, man, because
that's nitty gritty. That's nitty gritty.
Every month I look at my credit card statement. I'm like, what the hell did I spend all this on? And that's some real life adult stuff right there. Food. It takes a lot of food to feed me. I'm 21 years old. I work out every day. I eat. And I unfortunately spend a lot of money on like Postmates, Uber Eats, those DoorDash. I'm not. That being said, I'm not a big spender. I don't like spending money on myself. It makes me wildly uncomfortable. I don't buy AC or heat in my house because it's expensive and like bad for the environment.
Oh, so you're like real frugal.
Yeah, I'm pretty frugal, but like there are moments I travel. That's something I spend a lot of money on because I don't want to invest in anything that's going to deteriorate or not add anything of value to my life. I don't think like, spending money on clothes adds anything to your life. Well, I mean, you look good. There's, I like to look good. We all do. I have my few outfits. I'm not saying I'm not
of course
fashionable, but like I like to invest in experiences that like shape me as a person. Like, so I was traveling. Right now I've been spending a lot of money on a studio I'm building in my house.
So is it more like a recording studio for music or for recording lines? What do you
we want it to be a little bit of everything. It's going to be like half like a writer's room. We have 2 desks in here and a whiteboard so that we can, just grind out scripts. We're going to have a recording booth set up in the closet. We're going to have we've got some cameras, so we're going to do streaming like on Twitch because we play a lot of video games and that's kind of a waste of time. And then we also, at a certain point, would maybe also be interested in doing podcasts, interviewing all of the actors I know. But all of that's invested in like with the purpose of like furthering my career.
That makes sense.
So,
I like that. I love the travel part because I'm a big traveler myself. And, it's really like the best education that you can get, because
It really
you see
is.
it for yourself. No
Yeah.
one else can tell you anything different. And so
Yeah.
the vast amount of like cultures that you are now, you know, you kind of meet, you know, and you're kind of, you know, indulged in it's a lifetime of memories, you know.
It gives you like a real perspective as well for who,
For
like
sure.
how we live here and who we are, and like our cultural identity really changes when you get like a little bit of culture shock, especially when you get like jet lagged.
Right.
And you're like looking around and you're like, where am I? What is going on? This is like mind blowing.
Yeah.
See, and I'm impressed with the live work scenario that you're creating, because I'm big on being able to work whenever you want to work, whenever the inspiration hits you. I am really big. I've had a live work studio set up before, and I would love to get back to that. So you are absolutely on the right track.
Thanks.
Setting up, because then you're the hub. Everybody, you know, all your friends, and all the creatives can come to you because you have the space. Having the space is the ticket.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. We have two very high powered computers coming for streaming, but they can also do editing 4K videos.
Oh my gosh.
So you can literally edit movie quality, you know, films on there.
Yes.
And I also got a bunch of, I buy most of my stuff used when I can. I don't think there's much, especially with technology, it gets outdated so fast. I bought a complete camera setup recently, like a Sony A7 with a Ronin gimbal, which is what they use to stabilize, you know, actual movie cameras, you know, lighting, sound. So I have tripod sliders, like all this film equipment to hopefully start like, man, I'm sitting here in quarantine. Like,
I love that.
I don't have to write anything cool, but I can just start like establishing shots. So I can figure out like, here's what a 2-shot would look like, or a close up, or, you know, a master shot. So like if I ever wanted to do camera work or DP or direct, I'd understand that.
Exactly. And you can do it when you feel like it. The inspiration hits you at 12 midnight, you know, order a pizza, get some DoorDash, and you're off.
That's when it does for me, because I don't like inspiration doesn't hit. Like I just woke up like 15 minutes before this. You know, I'm slow moving. Inspiration hits around like 6 p.m., 7 p.m.
Yes.
Well, with that high IQ of yours, you're A-okay.
Thanks, man.
Listen, so if you had to give advice to actors that are coming up, give me like three solid things that actors can follow, and to hopefully get them on the right track. Give them a good roadmap, basically, to success.
Yeah, I would say surround yourself with good people. There's a lot of you know, negativity in the industry. There's a lot of you know, people who are maybe want to take advantage of you, or you know, just aren't very good people. Have a support system of like good people, preferably like non-actors, so you know they're just like not really interested in your world that much. Most of my friends aren't actors. That's what I would recommend. Number one. I'd recommend to invest in things outside of acting, like invest in yourself as a person. Be a person first and an actor second. Just be like, acting is your job, not your life. I really recommend that. Like let it be your day job, and then at night go do other things. Be a real human being. Because especially with success, you have a tendency to not be a real human being. And I would say, like never stop practicing and trying and like pushing yourself to do new things and outside of your comfort zone. You know, learn to like cry on command. That was uncomfortable for me, but like practice it, you know, practice getting angry, be willing to like go to the, you know, places you don't typically go to.
Man, that's some good advice. Val, what do you think?
I think it's amazing. I think that's great advice.
Thanks, guys.
Very informative.
I made all that up. because y'all put me on the spot.
Well, it works. It works.
Well, listen, guys, this was such an amazing thing to listen to. Nolan, thank you so much for being here with us. But before we go, we just got a quick little game for you called the Quick Five. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw like 5 rapid questions your way. You just say exactly what comes to mind first. Is that cool?
Cool. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Ready? Number 1, favorite travel spot?
Barcelona.
Ooh.
Childhood celebrity crush?
Emma Watson.
First concert?
Weird Al Yankovic. That is true. That is true. 12 years old.
I love that. I love that. Beach or the mountains?
Mountains.
Okay. And if you were stuck on an island and you could take only one thing with you, what would that one thing be?
Oh, I knew you were going to do something like that. And take my banjo.
Your what?
My banjo. Yeah.
Banjo.
Banjo.
Yeah. I would apologies to anybody that gets accidentally stuck on the island with me, because we're going to be having a hoedown until we get rescued.
So, I feel like we know a little more about you, Nolan, not only on a professional side, but also on a personal side as well, too. So,
well, this was a blast. Thanks for having me, guys.
No, thank you, Nolan, for joining us today. And Nolan, how can we keep up with you on social?
I think I don't even know what my handles are. I think they're at Nolan Gould on Instagram. You can tell I'm real good with the technologies. Nolan Gould on Twitter and Facebook. And then if you want to follow specifically like my adventures and my travels and my natural like excursions like scuba diving and rock climbing, it's at free.nola.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Really
Thanks, Dimitri. Thanks, Val.
Gems.
You're welcome.
Absolutely, my friend. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Okay?
Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you all for tuning in to the Regard Breakdown. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcasts. We're available on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn Plus Alexa, Deezer, and much more. And if you'd like to see video content from our podcast, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Regard Breakdown. And for all other social platforms, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook with the handle @Regard Breakdown. Until then, we'll see you next time.